Mike and Brook Reilly discuss fall maintenance tips for rental properties in Cleveland. Key strategies include dethatching, aerating the lawn, and using a leaf blower to collect dead grass for compost. They recommend using a Greenworks de-thatcher and plugger and a slow-release fertilizer with seed starter, and the best time to plant grass seeds is before late October to avoid weeds. Find out more in this podcast.
Hi, everybody. This is Mike Reilly with Brook Reilly talking about fall, your rental property, you're selling, you're maintaining it, you're renting it, either short-term or long-term. These are some tips that we're doing now in early October for our rental properties. And right now we're enjoying some great weather, aren't we, Brook?
Yeah, about 73 and sunny.
This is when you want to be in Cleveland, September and October.
And
Like,
it's cool at night.
Yeah, cool at night, which is an important thing to remember, because the first thing that we're doing now, we've had a bad drought in Cleveland area, some heat dome. We had one spell where we had like 2 weeks of no rain, and a lot of our rental property lawns got super stressed out. So what we did was we made a commitment to do some major fall capital spending on these properties. And let me just kind of walk you through what we're doing, and something you should consider if you're in the Midwest, because if you're in the Cleveland area, Michigan, Pennsylvania, whatever, you got pretty much until the end of October to get this stuff done. Global warming is sort of stretching out the seasons a little bit more. So we're becoming more like Kentucky as opposed to, past decades. So what we decided to do was, first of all, we got a lot of dead grass on our property. Some of the properties, the lawns weren't that good anyway, so we might as well just let it fail. Don't bother cutting the grass. Everybody else's lawn, on the streets of our properties were, they were burned out anyway, so it wasn't like ours was a sore thumb. What we did was we rented a dethatcher. Great time to just clean up all the dead grass there. Some of these properties we've had for a couple of years, we've never dethatched them. So this one house we have, Brook, the Forest Hill Boulevard house, big L-shaped lot. We've got roughly about 10 cans of thatch we pulled out. And your house on Blackmore, there's going to be a lot of thatch, because I can't remember the last time we did that lawn. I know we plugged it, but we haven't thatched it. But thatching is going to take all the dead grass out, and then we come in and we plug. We use an aerator and we plug the lawn, punch holes into it. Some cases we're making 2, 3, 4 passes on the lawn on a crisscross. So there are hundreds of holes now in the turf, which makes it very receptive for new grass seed. So after the plugging, after the thatching, we take our leaf blowers and we collect all the thatch. And it's almost like hay. I mean, they're just piled up, ready for collection. And a lot of it we're going to be using as compost, because the leaves are going to be coming down the pike. So, Brooke, when you thatch your lawn, put all that dead grass in the back corner, and then when you blow the leaves, you can kind of mix it all up. You're going to get great topsoil there. Any questions, comments, Brooke, before I get into phase 2?
No, I mean, I'm a little embarrassed for my yard, because my neighbor across the street, a couple neighbors down, I mean, their yards are just so green and lush, and mine is it's pretty dead. So I was actually, like, a couple weeks ago talking to a friend, she's a landscaper, to get some tips, and then just ironically, you had rented that de-thatcher and the plugger, and so I'm glad I found a solution. So I'm going to be working on that this weekend. Nice little
Yeah,
Saturday.
we ended up, folks, buying a Greenworks de-thatcher for some of our small properties. And the nice thing about buying Greenworks is on Amazon, you can find it, is we can interchange the batteries with some of our other tools. So for example, we have a Greenworks portable hedge clipper. We have a Greenworks portable lawnmower, an EV lawnmower, which is great for small lawns. We also have, I forget the other electric tool that we have, but they all use the same batteries. I mean, it's real nice. We've got 2 batteries. We're going to make an investment in the 3rd battery so that when we're doing a bunch of our small lawns, we're always charging another battery when we get to the site. But for if you have a large lawn, or if you have a bunch of properties that you own, we recommend that you rent, gas-powered thatcher. I mean, these things will just plow through yards real quickly. The same thing with the plugger. Now, plugger is something you're going to want to rent because you need something powerful and something that you can just motor right through. Now, once the plugs are in, Brooke, you want to then get your spreader, set it for mid-level, like a 5 or a 6, and you want to spread your seed, lay down all your seed and get really good quality seed. Now, what we did was we bought from our landscaper, Dan, who handles our properties. He went to his supply store and he bought some really super high-end seed. This is a combination rye and bluegrass. The rye is going to take right away. The nice thing about the bluegrass mix is going to come in the spring. And then, and this is a very, very important part of this podcast, what type of fertilizer to use. Now, what you want to do now in the fall is you want to put in a fertilizer that also has a seed starter component to it. And this is what I learned. Don't just put any fertilizer in. These have slow releases. The first release, it's designed to work directly with the seed and really jumpstart it. So you're spreading that seed in. It's going in all those hundreds of holes that you punched in, and then you make another pass with the slow acting fertilizer with seed starter. And then you give it a quick water, and you don't have to water it every day. That's another thing I learned. Because in the fall in Cleveland, the temperature's getting down, 50 degrees. It's cool. There's a lot of moisture in the morning. When you wake up, Brooke, you walk outside, there's a lot of dew on the grass, even though it didn't rain. And that's important. Now, one of our top guys, Travis, Brooke's younger brother, he's out there and he's laying that seed in fertilizer. He's going to give it a quick soak with a hose, but it's not something you have to water every day in the early to mid fall. Now, the important thing is, hope everybody's taking some notes or replaying this. The important thing I learned in talking to Dan and the greenskeeper at my golf club is there's a cutoff date, usually late October, when we may get that first hard freeze. You do not want to be putting any grass seed in after freeze. You're just ruining it.
Hey, let's stop here. We got to pay some bills. 30 seconds, and we'll be back. If you've been listening to this podcast, then you understand or should understand the pitfalls of investing in Cleveland real estate. Say you're looking for an investment property to rent, and these are the things that could happen and often do. You overpay for a house and it's in the ghetto. Then you find that it's a money pit with endless surprise repairs. Your hapless property manager, who may be the brother-in-law of the realtor, gets a tenant who after 3 months stops paying the rent. Then the toilet explodes, and you have nobody to repair it because, guess what? The property manager is not answering the phone. Yep, that's the ugly side of the Cleveland real estate market. But we have a solution. Buy one of our properties. It's been inspected. It's been vetted. It's in a rock-solid part of town. It comes with a Gold Star tenant paying top dollar rent, and we manage it. Call us at 216-371-8160 if you're interested.
So you want to get that seed in the early part of October, and generally by about the 20th of October. That is sort of like the cutoff point for landscapers. That's kind of the end of the road in terms of, planting grass seed. But the nice thing about doing all of this in the fall is that you're not getting any weeds that are going into these plugs. If you were to put grass seed in the spring or in the summer, there's a lot of airborne weeds that are going to follow in that seed right in there. Okay, I'll stop. Brooke, do you have any questions? You're like our test audience here.
No, I think it's good learning about like the cutoff point for the seeding and doing all this work. So I'm glad I'm going to jump on it this weekend because, while I've got the good weather.
Now, the other thing I learned was that you got to cut the grass before you thatch it. You cut the grass, or you can go ahead and thatch, then cut the grass short. You want to cut it short. Usually in the summertime, we cut it a little longer because it's hot and dry. But now we want to cut it low. And then thatch the hell out of it, get all that dead grass out, start plugging. Nice thing about your house, Brooke, by the way, you bought the family house, and I was taking care of that prior to handing it over to Brooke, is I've done plugging every year. Every year. You plug every year, that soil is going to be very moist because you're opening it up, you're letting that rain get in, you're breaking that clay, which can be very common in Cleveland. So there's a nice sponginess to the turf when you plug it every year, and you're raking all the dead leaves in the fall. So that root structure is going to be good. Now, if you really want to take it to the next level, after you're done with the seed and the seed starter slow release fertilizer that will last for weeks, and it'll also carry into the spring, believe it or not, is then get what's called a compost roller. You can look it up on YouTube, these compost rollers, which, by the way, Brook Company is going to buy, so you can use it. Compost roller, you put in a bunch of peat moss, you put in some super great compost material, that rich manure, and then you throw in worm castings. Worm castings is the black gold of compost. So it's almost like you're making this mix, flour mix, making a super great loaf of bread. You've got your peat moss, 1/3 peat moss, 1/3 compost from your compost area, and then 1/3 worm castings. This is shit coming out of worms. This stuff is powerhouse, and you put it in the compost roller, and you spread kind of an even little layer over the holes in the seed, and it's going to work its way into that soil. You don't want to put a lot on because you need that, the rain to get in. But the nice thing about that worm castings, again, you can go on YouTube and see it, is that it's designed to hold the moisture. Same with peat moss. So that little layer that goes over, that you roll over with the compost roller, that gives it that sort of, that little brushing effect. And that is just the icing on the cake right there. Your lawn, I don't know. I'm partial to, I mean, to me, I love a great lawn. You're getting your house fixed up to sell. If you want to, really have a nice Airbnb, I mean, that lawn's got to look nice. You can't have dirty windows, weeds, overgrown bushes. It can't look like a garbage dump. Anybody looking to rent. Your thoughts, Brooke?
Yeah, no, I feel bad just because I've kind of done the bare minimum this summer. I'll make sure that the grass is cut, but I'm gonna be spending some time before the weather really turns, making sure I pick all my weeds and trim the bushes and do the seeding.
Yeah, it's and you know what? You don't have a real big lawn, so that front, you weed whack the edges. I mean, hey, I like washing my car. I'm at a point now where I can afford it, but I like having people work on the lawn. I love playing golf. I love walking on a great golf course. I had the privilege of walking the practice round at Augusta. I mean, if you want to see some turf, you just go to Augusta National. You can't even find a weed on that whole course. But yeah, and I think, you're going to get, that fall rain's going to come in. So if you can get that, that thatching and plug, or make it a day and a half, the Browns are losing, fine. Just, you got something to do, right?
Spread some manure.
Speaking of manure, take it out of the TV. Or, your 4-month-old son, he's got plenty of manure coming out of him, right?
Oh, I got garbage bags in his diapers, so yeah, let's use some of those.
It's too bad they can't, I'm sure it's recyclable, but you can turn it into, like, you got worm castings and then you got grandson castings, right? That stuff would be good. So anyways, okay. So folks, having a rental property, getting a house ready to sell, you need to have that curb appeal. So washing the windows, that's another thing to do in the fall. You got a lot of debris coming off the trees. You're going into the winter. Your main windows are all washed. Your yard is looking green up until that first snow. And even if we get into mild areas, mild times in the wintertime, your lawn's still going to look good. It's not going to have that frost in it. That dead, nothing like dead grass that freezes over. So, nice trimmed bushes, get all the dead sticks that, fly off the trees, get your gutters clean. Yeah. I mean, button up your house, button up your investment. It's all pennies on the dollar. Just makes your house look so much classier. Final thoughts, Brooke?
Yeah, no, I think, having that good curb appeal, you only get one first impression, so make it a good one.
Yeah, I agree. A good looking house from the curb, nice, clean, maintained. They're already half sold as they're walking up the front door. We'll end on that note. Next week, we're going to have another Cleveland real estate investor. We're going to get together with our realtor, Lauren, and we're going to do a heat check on what's happening. We're also going to get Chris from Union Savings on, talk about what is the loan, what the interest rates are, what the refi is. So we're back in gear. No more summer vacation, and we'll have an episode drop in the latter part of next week. All right, Brooke?
All right, sounds good.
Okay, folks, we'll talk later. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast with Mike Reilly. Please add our show or follow us on Spotify, Overcast, Apple Podcast, or Spotify. Leave a like or comment on the video. All engagement is appreciated. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well for video content coming soon. For any Cleveland listeners or Cleveland Browns fans, you can check out our other podcast, Cleveland Browns Anonymous, for our weekly group therapy session. This is also on all the same platforms as the Cleveland Real Estate Investor.